Alright guys, this is Unit 7, Day 3 and 4. I'm just going to be teaching you both days in one. So this should be Wednesday. You guys are smart, you guys can pick up both of them. Anyway, it should be a review because I already taught you this. Okay, so do now. Hopefully you guys already started the do now. Okay, so let's go over that. So, what's the probability that a customer buys a slider purchase of four sliders? Uh, sorry, uh, four sliders, right? So X is the number of sliders. So probability that the big X is going to equal 4. Okay. So we're having a missing value. We have a missing value. So how do we get that value here? Well, we know that all probability is all out of 100% or 1.0. So if you add up all of them and subtract it from 1, you should have gotten 0.16. Okay, so and that's our answer. What's the probability that the number of sliders, big X, right? That's a random variable. That big X is equal to 4. The answer should be 0.16. Okay. Now, what's the probability that someone is having to buy, more than one slider? More than one. So probability that X is greater than 1 would be what? How do we figure that out? Well, more than 1. So does 1 count? No, it does not. So one way we can do it is we just add up the rest of them. So this is when X is equal to 2, when X equals to 3, when X is equal to 4, and when X is equal to 5. Okay, the answer to that should be 0.92. That's the probability that someone will buy more than one slider. Okay, is there another way to do this? Yes, we could have gotten 1 minus the probability of X equaling to 1. Okay, so 1 minus, what's the probability of X equaling to 1? 0.08, which is 0.92. These two answers are still the same, just a different way to think about it. Okay, now this next part. So expected value, right? So we went over this, right? What is the expected value, right? The mean, okay, sample mean and population sample mean. Um, two different two different symbols that we covered in the past. So here, how do you find the expected number of sliders a person would order? Okay, so E of X, right? So this is the review part, right? So x1 times the probability of 1 plus x2 times the probability of 2 plus x3 times the probability of 3, right? So our x's, just like before, is our certain values, right? So our first x is equal to 1 slider. So that's 1 slider. And what's the probability of that 1? Well, 0.08 plus the next one, 2 times the probability of 2, 0.26 plus 3 times 0.45. And then you can see where I'm going with this, right? You just keep on going, all the way until you get to 5, right? Plus 4, 0.16 plus 5, 0.05. Okay? And then all that should equal or give you a final probability of 2.84. So that is our answer, right? The expected number of sliders a person would order would be 2.84. And that's how you figure it out. Okay? This is our x1 and the probability of x1 plus x2 times the probability of x2 plus x3 times the probability of x3 plus x4 times the probability of x4 plus x5 times the probability of x5. Just so you can see where this notation is coming from. That is our expected value. Again, the expected value is 2.84. Now, this next one, I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to read it. Okay. So those of you who recognize that this is a problem from yesterday's video, from yesterday's lesson on Tuesday, about the insurance, 1,000, 10,000, 5,000, 0, most of us will land here with 0 disabilities and 0 deaths, and these are the probabilities on the bottom. Okay, so first thing we want to find is the expected value. So what is the expected value? Just in case you didn't know, this was the big X. What is the expected value? So just like over here, how we multiplied the X variable times the probability, we're going to do the same thing over here, right? So it's going to be 10,000 times the probability, which is 1 over 1,000, right? So this is our X1 and this is our P of X1 plus X2 times P of X2 and so forth, right? Plus X3 times P of X3. So our X2 would be 5,000. Remember, these are your X's on top and these are your probabilities on bottom. So what's the probability of getting 5,000? 2 out of 1,000 plus, and then the last one, 0 times 997 over 1,000. So type that into your calculator. What is the expected value that you should get? Give it a few more seconds. Don't forget this one cancels out. The zeros cancel out over here. So when you're done typing in the calculator, you should get an expected value of $20. Okay. So that should be one lesson. Okay. But we already covered this in the past. But that should be one lesson. So now, the other thing we need to learn, the second part, or day 4, but we already covered it, is standard deviation. Okay, so it's pretty much the same problem here, and this is our formula to find the standard deviation. But I'm not sure you how to do it in the calculator because we can get to use the calculator, and like knowing how to do it by hand is not to your best interest when the AP test is timed. Okay, so let's start putting into the calculator. So this right here is going to be under your first column, and this right here will be your second column, the probability. So everyone get a calculator and start typing in those values. We're going to go to Excel. If you have more than one, don't forget to exit out and click it again so you can only have that one. Okay, so this first column is going to be our X values, right? The possible outcome of the company. So the first one, if you die, you're going to get $10,000. The next outcome is $5,000. And then the last one, of course, is the 0, right? So this right here is our X variable, right? That's our first one. X, and these are your possible outcome. The next one is going to be your probability, right? Those are the possible probabilities of those sections, right? So to get 1,000, it was, or to get 10,000, the probability is 1 out of every 1,000 people. The next one is 2 out of every 1,000 people. And then the last one is, oh yeah, it changes for you. You see how it changes it for you? Don't freak out if it changes. And the last one is 997 over 1,000, right? And we're gonna label this, I'm gonna label that one P for probability. Sorry. I'm gonna label that P for probability. Okay, so everyone should be good with this right here. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a couple seconds so you guys can catch up. So again, guys, this right here is your X value, and these are the probabilities for each of the X values. Okay, these are your X values, and these are the probabilities of each of the X values. So remember, guys, we're looking for standard deviation. We are looking for standard deviation. Okay, so SD. Okay, remember the two symbols for standard deviation are either SD or that's weird looking symbol. Okay, so again, let's go over here. So we're going to be pressing menu. Okay, we're going to go to stats calculations, and then we're going to go to two variable stats. Again, we already done this before. This is just a little review. So our X list, right? So that's our first one. X list, perfect. Our Y list, this is our probability. This is what we label P for probability. Okay. Now, the only thing we need to add to or change is the frequency list, right? Our frequency list is our probability list. So that one should be P. Okay. So our big X, probability, and the frequency list will also be probability. So XPP. You press OK. Now we should have all these variables, right? So X bar, that is our average, right? Not the expected value, just our average. And then we go down to our symbol, and that right there, that symbol that we know right here, that is our standard deviation, 324. Okay, 324. Okay. Good. So right here, standard deviation is equal to 324.14. And we're done with that. Okay. Good. Is there any questions about standard deviation? Again, you do not need to solve by hand and do all this mumbo jumbo, even though you guys know how to do it. You just have to type into the calculator. Okay, there you go. So that's 2 lessons in one day covered. Again, this should be for Wednesday. 2 more days, guys. 2 more days, the weekend, and then you can get to see me again. I know some of you miss me. I miss you guys too. Okay, do the rest of the packet on your own. You may use a calculator. It shouldn't take you too long. Again, guys, we're covering 2 days in one. You guys are smart. Finish it. All right, later, guys.